Ministry of Defense spokesman on ATO-related issues, Colonel Motuzyanyk. Good afternoon, everyone. Now the information about the main events that happened yesterday in the ATO region. The Lugansk area in the region of Popasna, the enemy delivered five night mortar shellings. The positions in Katerivnivka, Oleksandrovka and Popasny came under enemy fire. The enemy delivered fire from the side of Pervomaisk. At that, the enemy used mortars of 120 millimeters. In Krymsk, mortar fire was delivered. It was of average intensity and was lasting for half hour. During the last 24 hours in the Lugansk area, there were 11 enemy shelling, including 6 with the use of heavy weapons. In the Donetsk area, there are low and mid-intensity fire delivered by the enemy. The enemy used mortars. These were short-term shelling, and on average, they launched 10 mines per shelling. And also in the region of Svetlodarsk Bulge, the enemy shelled 3 times, also shelled in the Lugansk, using weaponry of APCs. Also, the situation was tense in Zaitseva. The enemy delivered short mortar shelling and carried out several provocations with the use of small arms. In Avdiivka and its suburbs, the enemy shelling sporadic, but in the majority of shellings, the enemy uses heavy weapons. In the region of industrial area, the enemy delivered 3 mortar shelling at night, and after 3 p.m. they started also to deliver tank fire from tanks, and also they delivered 4 shellings with the use of heavy weapons, and in some instances residential quarters came under enemy fire. 5 tank shells got into multi-storied buildings in the southern suburb of the town, and 6 private houses were damaged in the course of mortar shelling delivered by the enemy. Also, the city is without electricity in the result of illegal actions of the occupants. The shell hit the electricity supply line, and the electricity now supplied to the facilities that do not have their reserve electric generators by 7 generators provided by State Emergency Service. Also, water supplies are temporarily stopped, and there are breaks in mobile communication. Fortunately, no casualties among civilians. On the whole, during the last 24 hours in the Donetsk area, there were 22 enemy shellings, including 13 with the use of heavy weapons. The Mariupol area yesterday, the situation was tense. The enemy was active in the northern part of this area. In Krasnogorovka, Mykolaiivka part of front line, during the night, the enemy actively used small arms in different areas of this direction, and also delivered fire in Mykolaiivka with the use of artillery, 122 millimeter of caliber, and also shelled Slavna with mortars. And in the early morning, the enemy shelled Mariinka with the use of mortars and also using weaponry of APCs. In the evening, the militants delivered artillery shelling in Mykolaiivka, and also they delivered fire in Gremezova and Krasnogorovka using mortar fire. Yesterday, at about 2 p.m., a subversive group of the enemy, including 4 people, approached our positions in Berezov, that is near Dokuchaevsk. This movement of this group was identified, and our servicemen opened fire. And after some military actions, the enemy retreated, but we sustained losses. 2 servicemen were killed. And our hearts go out to the relatives of the servicemen who were killed. In the southern positions, the enemy opened fire with the use of mortars, delivered fire at positions in Pavlopil, Gnutovo, Vodene, and Shirokina. During the last 24 hours in the Mariupol area, there were 40 enemy shelling, including 11 with the use of heavy weapons. And now the information about losses. As we informed previously, 2 our servicemen died in the course of battle clash in Mariupol area, and 1 more serviceman was wounded in the region of Avdiivka. Yesterday in Vuhledar, there was tragedy. A 12-year-old boy was heavily wounded and killed by grenade. He thought it was a toy, and he wanted to see some fire, and the grenade exploded in his hands. Our hearts go out to the family of Nazari. And we call on all adults to inform young generation about suspected objects and to show children the pictures how this lethal threat look like. And the statistics is like this, that unfortunately, according to National Police data from the start of military actions in Donetsk Oblast, 5 children died and 6 were wounded. And in Severodonetsk, that is in Luganshina, there were tactical training. Law enforcers were together with medical services. They rehearsed their actions in case of mining of buildings of civil and military administration building, and according to the scenario, they coordinated their actions according to scenario. They first evacuated people, and also they identified the place of imaginary explosive device and deactivated it successfully. This is all. Do you have questions? If there are no, thank you and goodbye.